How do you get the most out of a cheap and expensive cut of steak? Well, we've challenged a chef and a normal home cook with exactly that.
I'm really annoyed about that steak.
It works better if you don't drop the whole thing in the water.
And to make things interesting, we've given the cheap cut to the chef and the expensive cut to the home cook.
Oh yeah.
How you feeling, lads?
All good. Comfortable with steak, worried about my accoutrement.
I guess we'll find out what that means in a minute.
I'll be honest, I'm a little bit worried about the steak because I've got a nice expensive one and I want to make sure I make the most of it. And I'm also a little bit worried about everything else that's got to go on as well. But it'll be fine, right?
Well, nevertheless, I'm excited. Your cooking starts in 3, 2, 1. Wow. Got any pent-up issues in the back of your mind, Evers?
So we are both working with rump. Mine is a slightly cheaper cut from a supermarket, so there's a few tips and tricks I'm going to do to it to make sure when we eat it, it is delicious, as rump is, but also tender.
Whereas I'm working with a very lovely ex-dairy cow Basque region butcher's cut of rump. And so therefore my job is to make sure that the steak itself absolutely sings and everything else that I put with it is part of the chorus that adds the harmonies to the lead vocals.
That is lovely work.
I am just the conductor.
So the price of the steak that Ben is working, the cheaper cut, costs £6.75, whereas the steak that Jamie is working with from the butcher costs £22.50. No pressure.
Flanders is a region in northern Belgium and they have an amazing dish that is what I'm going to try and recreate, carbonade. It's like beef bourguignon from France, marinating in red wine, but because Belgium is a beer drinking country, they use beer. So a nice malty, dark beer to marinate our tenderized steak in overnight. So slight acidity, but also acidity from the garlic and the onion. That will help to tenderize the steak overnight. So the same steak that starts like that ends up looking like that. Less appetizing, more delicious.
Now the dish that I'm going for is a bed of clotted cream and garlic mashed potato topped with slices of beautiful rump steak with pickled shallots, some sautéed mushrooms and a lovely watercress kind of chimichurri style sauce on the top, served with a roasted half beef tomato with anchovies and aged balsamic vinegar.
That has got a lot of delicious ingredients to support that steak.
And that's the thing, with the steak being so good, I want to elevate it further with lots of umami from the mushrooms, from the anchovy, but also the sweetness and the freshness from the tomato. Everything has to work together to make the most of that, which now needs flipping. For the steak, I'm searing it off in a really hot pan to get a lovely crust on it, and then it's going into an oven at 55 degrees to cook through. What I want is a good medium rare, about 53 degrees cook on the steak.
In contrast, I've got a very lukewarm pan, very gentle heat that I'm going to cook the sliced onions in some butter until they really soften and caramelize. I want the sweetness of the onions to offset what is otherwise quite a bitter beer once it reduces down. And it's that combination of malty, slightly hoppy beer with caramelized onion that's delicious.
For my tomato, I've cut a beef tomato in half, a little bit of salt, a little bit of balsamic vinegar, a little bit of olive oil, topped with some anchovies. That'll go into an oven for about 10 minutes.
Would you like to know about my accoutrement?
What is it?
Pretentious word for all the accessories normally associated with clothing, hats and belts and extra flamboyant. But on this dish,
Not wardrobe.
It is the garnish to the steak and also kind of Flemish but German Spätzle.
Oh, okay.
So it's plain flour and egg with some salt, beaten either with a wooden spoon with a hole in it or lazily like this for a good amount of time so the batter begins to break away and form holes in it. And the reason being, we're then going to drop it into simmering water with my Spätzle maker.
I know what you're thinking. Jamie's cooking something. It's got to be a quick pickle. Well, hello. We're making a shallot quick pickle with some really lovely red wine vinegar, a little bit of sugar. Bring that up to a boil with some rings of shallots in, but it's going to add that touch of acidity and piquancy that's going to cut through the richness of the steak and the umami of everything else that's going on.
Two steps to this dough. One, beat it to stretch the gluten, and then stop and leave it for 15 minutes to rest, and that will make sure all the flour is fully hydrated and you get a much more tender spätzle. I've not done this for a while, and last time I did it, I pushed it through a colander, also very plausible. Today with this, you've got to get that consistency just right. Comment down below, am I even close?
Are you okay?
I'm fine. When I get freedom of choice to create a recipe based on a brief, which is a cheap rump, make it awesome, I always look at things like, what haven't we done on the channel for ages and what would I love to try and do? I haven't made spätzle for about a decade. So that's the fun of this. We're doing it together.
There you go, he's done it.
Just enough to fall through the holes, but not so much that it runs. I think we'll use that.
You sound so confident. Almost as confident as me when I say, for my mashed potato, I'm boiling potatoes, adding in some garlic that's been sautéed in butter with milk, a little bit of clotted cream, mashing it all together. Hopefully it's going to be delicious.
Hey mate.
Hey mate.
How's it all going?
I think it's going okay. I need to check on the steak to see the temperature that it's at, because I need to pull it a little bit sooner than when it gets to the 55 degrees. The mash is nearly done. I need to do the mushrooms and I need to do my sauce, but I think we're in an okay place, I think. Thanks for stopping by.
He sounds really calm.
What are you aiming for, Jay?
Can I tell you after I've
No,
probed
that's
it?
why I asked you before you open the oven.
Ideally, I want to pull it at 45 so that it can come up to about 53.
What if it's already at 57?
I want to be here.
Left it in too long. And an oven at 55.
But the pan was still hot, right?
Yeah.
So it carried on cooking.
Yeah.
Oh, you better get it out of a hot pan quick.
It's getting out of a hot pan.
Mike, what would you rather spend your money on? Steak or skilled labour?
Yeah, the last one.
I'm really annoyed about that steak because that isn't where I wanted it to be. It's going to be slightly over medium rare. What that means is it puts more pressure on making sure that all of the other elements are absolutely nailed, because if it is slightly over, then there is a chance that rump can get tough, and that's exactly what I don't want. So I need to make sure everything else is bang on point.
I brought a pan of salted water up to a boil, but now I actually want to lower it right down to a gentle simmer. Too much boiling will break up those strands that goes in the water. They cook pretty quick when they fall in, and then when they rise to the top, give maybe 30 seconds or a minute, and then we'll scoop them out into just a buttered dish.
Oh, it's going to be delicious. But knowing you, you'll have a plan B.
Might benefit from being a bit thinner.
Oh no, gravity's your friend.
Yeah, I think it could do with being a bit thinner. Needs to be a bit thinner. Add more water. Go again.
Oh yeah. Oh. My sauce, chimichurri style, olive oil, red wine vinegar, parsley, oregano, coriander, watercress. But then the biggest thing that's going in, concentrated chicken stock. That is like a flavour bomb. It's going to add more of that umami. It's adding a lot of the salt that's going into it. And I think a little drop of that on top of the steak is just going to enhance all of the other flavours that are going on. Maybe hide some of the toughness that might have come from that overcooking.
It works better if you don't drop the whole thing in the water. Luckily, we're only plating one portion, right?
Yeah.
Having rested, it's now time to slice the steak, see what the damage is. To help us, I'm going to slice against the grain, which is one of the tips we learnt previously. That should make it easier to eat, and if there is any toughness, take away
Gives
from
your
it.
mouth less to do.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know what you're thinking.
Time to plate.
Onions are nice and soft, so I'm going to go in with some bacon, some garlic, and a bay leaf. And once that's cooked out, we'll add in beer, beef stock, and mustard. Right, I'm going again, and this time, I'm not using the hand mixer, because I think it was too gloopy, and therefore I did too much water to try and help it, and it offset it. So I'm going back to the old school way of just doing it by hand. You still need to beat it a fair amount. So still a few bubbles forming from where you've beaten it, but it's not like the elasticity of the stand mixer. So turns out, sometimes being lazy isn't the way forward. Just do it and feel the dough, because that already feels better.
There
Much
you go,
better.
mate.
Turns out, do things by hand. You can see how quickly they cook, and then you can make batches and batches of them and just preheat to order in some really hot butter. I'm gonna add butter, black pepper, nutmeg, and one of my favorite herbs at this time of year, chervil. These have been growing in the balcony out there, so I'm just going to use some chard, but also bulked out with a bit of spinach. Good sear on one side. Remember, it's a lot of the sugars from that malty beer that are also caramelising. And then add in a little bit of butter and just baste. And the reason is you get this wonderful foaming butter flavour over both sides as the steak begins to finish to cook. Then you can take it out of the pan and leave it to rest in those same juices.
Final touch, and this is really pushing it.
It's a flamboyant final
This
flair.
is like the nicest guanciale that money can buy.
Yeah.
It just melts, so I'm just gonna lay some ribbons over the top so that it can melt and the fat can melt into the steak.
If only you could open it.
If only I could get it out the packet.
There we go.
Amazing job. I cannot wait to eat these, but first we're going to have to get them up close and personal with you. Let's go. Cheaper steak first.
Okay, we'll do the same as Jamie. I'm going to cut across grain. Almost certainly shouldn't do it on a plate.
It cuts very tender, doesn't it?
There was a noticeable difference in the texture of the meat after a night of marinating. Kapow.
Let's get stuck in. I'm going to have some steak on its own first. Wow. Yeah, that is
Well, that's got
excellent.
such a rich, deep.
Texture's really
Yeah.
nice, really tender, nice chew. Interestingly, like the flavour that comes through it isn't really steaky flavour.
No.
It's the flavour of the marinade, basically, isn't it? It's like that bitterness from beer, right?
Yeah, bitter, it's
Yeah.
kind of malty.
Malty, that's it.
And this nice caramelisation on the side is the malty kind of Belgian beer.
Really penetrated it. I'm going to try the trouble part of the dish.
That
Was
is-
it worth it? Yeah, that's brilliant.
It's a cross between pasta, dumpling, gnocchi,
The dressing's lovely. Is that just butter and herbs?
butter and chervil.
That is fantastic. So simple, you don't need any more than that.
It is a really good steak eating experience though, because it takes it away from just being a steak to being, this has got loads of flavour, and yeah, something completely different.
And that's why you cut it across the grain, because the grain is already doing some of that work for you, because that marinade has already tenderised the whole thing.
Fantastic.
That's brilliant.
So I was thinking this is the chef versus the steak, and the normal versus the steak and things that are riding on it. So let's move on to normal versus expensive steak.
I know the steak is everything, but I love the way these are just melted into the tomato.
So you had a hiccup with the steak. What are you hoping or expecting?
I'm hoping that it's still gorgeously tender, flavoursome, and that everything else helps to elevate it even further than the quality of the steak already was.
Godspeed.
The thickest part of the steak is still beautifully blush. And I think actually it's not a bad cooking temperature at all. I think you're a bit upset that the thinner part of the steak perhaps was a little overcooked, but as an entire steak, that's great.
I think you may have got away with that.
It's great.
I think got away might be the best description, because I'd love to stand here and say I knew it was going to be all right all along.
Yeah.
But I didn't.
But surely that's, again, one of the benefits of buying a really good quality steak.
You definitely don't want to mistreat it, but it is perhaps more forgiving
Yeah.
because it's quality at every stage. And remember, our personal cooking preference is whatever, medium rare, medium. But if you go to any restaurant, it's the diner that decides, and it still has to be good, even if they want it well done. That's a personal choice. Make sure it's still tender and delicious, and quality steak will be.
Really interesting, because it's tender and it's delicious in a different way that, Ben, yours is tender and delicious. Yours is delicious with the steak flavour, but carried through with the flavour of the marinade, and super tender as a result. I'd argue more tender than perhaps Jamie's steak, but he hasn't done anything to it, and it carries a huge amount of beef flavour. What do you make of all the
So good.
surroundings? What's the word you used?
His accoutrement is on par with anything you'd expect in a good restaurant. Like the mash is fluffy and creamy, and that clotted cream is just like tangy. I'm stealing this. The little anchovies on a beef tomato that just melt into it. It's phenomenal. And the pickled onions and chimichurri give that acidity.
Lads, there's no point in doing any build-up to any of this, but I'd say 100% the chef beat the steak, the normal beat the steak here, or the challenges presented by both steaks. How do you think the guys got on? Give us a like if you found any of that valuable. We're trying to hit 15,000 per video back to back to back to back to back. And if you'd like to see a chef and a normal take on other categories of food, make sure you let us know down in the comments and we will get on that immediately.
Can we do less stressful ones?
I like the stress. You need some stress to keep things interesting.